Hello, everyone. I am Krooked, and I do stuff, and this is Unscripted, the series where I take a completely unscripted look at games and give it a 1 through 10 rating. And today, we are playing Streets of Rage. Coming off a Final Fight, we're playing the other big bad of the 90s. You either played Final Fight or you played Streets of Rage because, well, one came out on the Super Nintendo, one came out on the Genesis. I accidentally activated my super badass attack, and I didn't mean to do that. So, yeah, this is Streets of Rage. Man, this game is iconic, although I'd argue that Streets of Rage 2 is probably more iconic. This has the same thing that Final Fight had, just immediately off the focus of the time at the top. Time limits in side-scrolling beat-em-ups are so dumb. I mean, I guess it was to imitate that arcade feel, but it's bad. I don't like that at all. Getting past that, because I can get past the time limits and stuff. Let's talk about graphics right from the get-go. This game does not look great. It's pixelated. It's a very early Genesis game, and it looks like it's an early Genesis game. It's almost Master System kind of levels of graphics. I really do like the kind of cyberpunky theme that they have going on. That looks good. It's like retro cyberpunk, which Neon City, Las Vegas feel. I really, really enjoy it. That being said, the graphics are not it. I'd say that's probably the weakest thing about this game so far that I've talked about, which, I mean, I start off with graphics, so that's not saying a lot. But if you get the timer out of the way, the graphics are pretty weak in this. Going into controls, so far, like, it has more than Final Fight does. Because Final Fight, well, it was just one button to jump, one to kick. This game introduces a special that is really awesome. There's also a lot more stuff to pick up. Like, picking it up is just as simple as hitting, the punch button. But there's a lot more to do. Other than that, they pretty much control basically the same across the board. And then in terms of sound, I think that's where Streets of Rage really, really takes the cake. Well, it does sound a little pixelated, and I hate the Genesis's sound chip. The game sounds good, and the music is just catchy. This is stuff that you're going to be humming for ages. It also is a lot more two-player friendly. I'm not sure if Final Fight was two-player at all. I want to think that it is, because you have Cody and Mike Hager, but I can't remember if it was or not. Whereas this, right at the top, it's like, yeah, press 2 up start. Let's get going. Let's get another player into this. Oh, this gives me... Okay, so finishing the enemies, and then the boss shows up. It says boss at the top of the screen, and it plays different music, specifically for the boss. That gives me major Maximum Carnage vibes. That's something that I enjoy in a game like this, where... it lets you know, hey, this is about to get a lot more serious. You need to get your stuff together. You need to be ready. And, oh man, I really enjoy this. And the in-between stages sound gives you points and everything, tells you that you cleared it, has a great music that kind of finishes up the level. That's a pleasure to hear. I really like the sound of this game. And the graphics, even though they're not arcade level, it still looks pretty good. It's just not up to Final Fight in that regard. In terms of the actual gameplay though, this is fun. Where Final Fight really just dropped the ball and kind of just would send a few enemies, they're all the same after you. This does it too. It doesn't name them, which I'm kind of sad about. It doesn't show their health bars either. But there's so many more items to pick up. There's so much more space on the screen. There's more attack range of stuff you can do. Like picking up weapons, and you throw some, and some are just weapons that you get to use, and when they get dropped, you get to pick them up again, and there's health pickups. There's just more substance to this than anything that Final Fight presented. That being said, you know, a lot of what I talked about with Final Fight is, what if you took Final Fight and you put it up against a more modern fighting game? And with Streets of Rage, I feel like it holds its own. I could see myself playing Shredder's Revenge and then coming back and being like, yeah, I want to play some Streets of Rage, see if I can do a little bit better than I used to be able to. The fact that you also get to pick from 3 different characters, that's a huge deal. The reason I picked Blaze is I've heard a lot that she's like the best character in the game, but I know that there's different characters for different situations. But she's actually fun to play as, and all the characters have their own special abilities and unique things they can do. Another thing that was absent from Final Fight that I just noticed here is this back kick that I have by hitting attack and jump at the same time. Another standard in fighting games that Final Fight just didn't have. I mean, it kind of did, where I could do the jump kick, and it kind of did a unique one if I pushed them both at the same time. But it wasn't enough that made it feel like it's a special ability, whereas in this, it feels like it's a special ability. Overall, I didn't grow up with either of the first versions of these games. I grew up with Streets of Rage 2 and Final Fight 2. And I'm kind of sad that those are the ones that I grew up with, because, well, not for Final Fight. I think for Final Fight, I'm okay with that, because it was a more polished game that was just a lot better. And honestly, I played the Peacekeepers more than I played Final Fight. But I have very, very strong memories of growing up playing Streets of Rage 2. And I can see why that game got a sequel. This game is pleasant to play. It has a lot of variation. It has a lot of just good to it. So the little bit of bad, like the pixelated sounds for the characters, you can get past that, especially because, I mean, the music alone, you're going to be humming this for ages. I can't even remember the music from Final Fight. And then it gets into the boss again. Even if it's a repeat theme, this is just awesome. And the bosses are big, bad, and go, yeah, I'm a boss. And then you can always do this and use your special. Makes the police show up and, you know, drops that. The bosses do also have health bars, too. The one downside to this is I would say this game is significantly harder. But it actually gives a challenge, whereas Final Fight, I don't feel like there was ever any sort of an actual challenge there. It was just Final Fight. Get through the level, beat up the bad guy, here you go, have a good time. Streets of Rage, this is a fight, and you have to deal with the time, which, again, I hate the time, but it seems a bit more realistic than the time in Final Fight 2. Overall, I mean, neither of these games are perfect. But if there's one that I would show someone as like a first fighting game, or side-scroll and beat 'em up if they've never played one, chances are I'm showing them Streets of Rage, not Final Fight. So, with all that being said, I think Streets of Rage gets a solid 7 out of 10. It has problems, but it's still just a really good game, and it's fun to play. While playing Final Fight the entire time, it felt like a struggle. I was just like, oh man, I'm so bored of this. But this game's fun. I want to play more. I want to do more. I want to pick up this bat and hit them in the face with it. And that's just the difference between Final Fight and Streets of Rage. So, if you have good memories of Streets of Rage, go ahead and hit that like button. Just like, you like those good memories. Hit the subscribe button, that way you never miss out on an episode of Unscripted. And hit that notification bell so that way you'll be notified whenever a new episode comes out. Other than that, I do want to thank you for watching Unscripted, and I will see you on the next episode. Bye!